that's fine.
What's hi guys. Sorry, I just went on live. What is there like a beeping noise you hear? Or no?
Beeping noise.
So my name is Karen. I'm from Mindful Maya. Welcome to my channel. And these are my beautiful friends. If you guys would like to introduce yourselves.
Well, my name is Brandon, and we can start this high, and I'm here from the channel True Living, where we explore on our inner depths of who we are, and we become authentic, and to learn to connect with with through our perspectives and learn to expand.
I'm Joshua from the channel Psionic Designs, and I talk about the nature of consciousness and how to ride the waves to flow where you want to go.
And I'm Kevin. I have my little channel is just has one video in it, but it talks about the comic book, which is called Righteous. It's a comic book that I've written to. It's about a guy who becomes enlightened, and he decides to help others, and in the process, he enlightens everyone that he helps.
And Anthony is hanging out with us too. Then we have other people who might join the call. We typically do this talk every Sunday. We talk about anything we might want to speak on, and we kind of like do some research and come a little bit prepared. And today's talk is going to be about the chakras. What are the chakras? How do we activate them? What are some guided meditations? And maybe some mantras for them. Hi, Anthony. I don't know if you want to say hi.
Hi guys, back again. Yeah, my phone died. I seem to keep getting in trouble with joining calls recently. And like I think I'm getting a sign, but I shouldn't be doing calls at the moment. And so I'm probably gonna stick to that. But yeah, I'll be watching through this, guys. But I won't be here to talk. And yeah, my friend's just back now, so I'm gonna talk to them about how we're getting into town later. But yeah, good luck with the call. Just wanted to pop in to say hello to everyone. Have a good one.
Thank you, Anthony. Have a nice day.
Namaste.
Have a nice day, Anthony. Namaste.
I don't know if you noticed, but when Anthony's dog barked, mine jumped up out of his slumber behind me.
Oh, I didn't notice. I need a puppy. So does anybody by any chance have a small meditation chakra they would like to share?
I'd like to put forth that Kevin could probably do a really great one given his particular gift, but if he doesn't feel confident, I would be happy to jump in.
I think that would be
I'm not. Yeah, I am not. I have not done any guided meditation whatsoever for anyone ever. So I would love to hear Josh's.
Okay, I will do one. That sounds fun. Let's do. I didn't have one in mind when I volunteered to go ahead and do one. I'm just letting that come to me right in this moment. You know, it's always good to go with the flow. And I think that's where we'll go with this. So, just make sure you're nice and comfortable. Somewhere where you can sit and your legs don't feel constricted. Your arms feel at peace, just sitting where they are. And take a deep breath in. Really notice how it feels as the air comes in It rushes down into your torso, filling it completely up. And then slowly let it out. You're not squeezing, you're just letting it flow. And as the breathing continues, it sets up this nice, even, gentle pace, bringing soft waves of relaxation flowing to and through us. And as we relax, more and more, with each breath, we feel our feet resting on the ground. And as they rest there, they feel connected as one continuous root from your body into the earth. And you feel the peace and the love of the earth coming up through your feet, warming the soles of your feet. And with the next breath, it rises to the ankles. And it continues from there, going up your calves, into your knees, up your thighs, and into your hips. And as it gets to your hips, you feel it come together at the very base of your spine. It's like a red diamond lights up right there. You feel waves of warmth and strength. And from there it rises further still to the top of your pelvis, right up your spine just a little bit, and you see a bright orange diamond light up. And then it continues to rise right above your stomach. A yellow diamond lights up. And as it rises, right in the center of your very being, a green diamond lights up. And then it rises further still. You feel a buzzing in your throat from the air moving in and out as a blue diamond lights up. And it rises further still to the center of your head. And a beautiful indigo diamond lights up. And you feel it rising to the very peak at the top of your head. There upon your crown, a violet diamond lights up. And as it does so, the light from all 7 diamonds pulses in unison, flashing a little faster and a little faster, clearing out all the cobwebs from your energy system. No more blockages, just peace, unity, harmony within. I love you all. Namaste.
That was so perfect. Thank you, brother.
Sure.
Hi, Christian. Welcome to the call. Would you like to introduce yourself? Talk a little bit about yourself if you want.
There we go. Sorry, I was trying to unmute myself.
His mic's muted.
Hey guys, I'm so glad to finally be here. I've just been like by the chat for so long. It's so crazy to finally be a part of it. And thank you, Josh. That was amazing. But hey, I'm Christian. I'm 19. My birthday's on the 28th. I live in Oregon, and love the rain.
Nice. I live in San Francisco. It's not too far from Oregon. It's nice to like have meet some people that are around over here. I know a lot of people in Oregon that are,
because everyone's in like a.
What?
Everyone lives on like the West Coast or like the Midwest, so it's super like different time zone. I can tell. You know, everyone will wake up way early. It'll be like 5 a.m. I'm like, oh God, I'm awake, guys.
Yeah, so this is a little different from Spirit Side Chats. Those are every new moon and full moon, but this one we do every Sunday, and we change hosts. Whoever wants to talk about a specific topic, we'll plan it ahead of time, and we can do research on that topic and come and contribute. Today's topic is about the chakras, and I'll start it off today. It's today.
Okay.
And I think like the way that I view the chakras is like, let's say that our bodies are like a Ferrari. It's not like the best way. It's more advanced than a Ferrari, but and it's like I feel like our humans use the Ferrari like riding a bike, and it's not really the same. Like you shouldn't like apply riding a bicycle to like riding a Ferrari. The Ferrari is intelligent. It has all these concepts. It has this motor, and I feel like we have this beautiful, intelligent body, and we don't really know how to use it. And I feel like learning about the chakras gives you a sneak peek on how to use our body completely. What do you guys think?
I would agree wholeheartedly. I think that the chakras are an amazing tool for getting in touch with the layers of who we are.
Yeah, definitely. This whole like last week, me and my little like group have been doing a lot of chakra focus, just coincidentally. And we were kind of trying to abolish this idea that everyone had of like being like a main chakra. Like my friend Cameron kept talking about how he's a root. And I was like, well, no, like the root is just the one that you have the most open. And like, he was like, oh yeah. Well, I mean, at least in my opinion. And as we continued, like, he was like, I can feel myself like straying away from that idea of like one thing. And as like the whole, like, you know, snake lit up essentially, he was like, wow, I can like, I realized that like, he kept saying like being a root means I'm closest to my ascension toroidally. And so like, and I was like, yeah, and as a Taurus, you know, everything is the same, and it's really nice just to like align all of those.
Well, I would also agree with everyone's statements, because it's like literally like basically in life we all go through the series of the chakras. When we're born, we are in the root. We're trying to beg for survival. We're trying to live, and then after, as we move up, we go through the sacral, and then after the solar. But after that, there's a certain point in our life like that how there's this mirror waypoint of how I remember seeing in the spirit science. There's mirror waypoint that it does not allow you the person to see what's beyond into the next lesson, but it's like that, and then after that it's the job of other people to show them what is that knowledge, that is love, compassion, to guide that your new being, that your child, into the next stage, which is the heart chakra, which and then so on and so on, that we all go through the cycles of active chakras and non-active chakras. That is, some days you will feel like that you will not be able to speak a lot, and that is that you need to work a lot on your fourth chakra, and after so on. It's just basically, it's basically like with the chakras and within our own life, it's basically like a wavelength that that some days we're fine, some days here we are not, some days we're fine, some days we're not. It's just a continuous cycle of healing, of becoming better and better.
I think you said some really good stuff there, you know, and one of the things that I also liked from the spirit science episode was how he talked about, you know, the first three chakras are awakened or turned on through our childhood, but we also stop there mostly in our Western society, because, you know, we really don't need to have the other four open, because we can survive with the base three. Heck, we can even survive with just the root, of course. But you know, and so our schooling and our society is really set up, especially in Western society, to awaken and open those first three, and then we're done. We're like, we got those three open, go ahead and have a life, you know, and we don't really care if you have a great, wonderful, amazing life where you spiritually advance, just as long as you make lots of money and contribute to society. Because if we awaken those other four, then, you know, you might not do that. So we don't really have a plan for that. And wouldn't it be interesting? Wouldn't it be amazing if we actually did something like that? We went, okay, once you reach a certain age, you go to heart school and you learn how to open your heart chakra. And then you go to throat school and we learn how to communicate and be ourselves, and you know, and so on and so forth. Like, you know, what an interesting society we might have in that situation. So anyway, what I really liked about that, though, is that we do have an example of that society, and spirit science brought that up too. We, you know, India and some of our Middle Eastern neighbors are you know, very much in tune with that. And what an interesting society, and what a different life that they lead. And then again, I'm going to just quote spirit science all the time, but you know, their homes that they live in, and their society, and the you know, the things that they've built. Some of it is beautiful and amazing and fantastic, and some of it, you know what, it doesn't really matter, because we're all focused on becoming enlightened. We're not focused on making sure that we have marble floors and everything's pristine and perfect and beautiful and materialistic like we do in the Western society. So
so true. You went and just literally just endoused us here with your perspective, Kevin, and that was beautiful.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you all for sharing. Even I feel like to take it a step further, I feel like, you know, the whole planet is probably just right now, well, not the Earth, but the beings on Earth, most beings are probably, yeah, like just the smaller ones. The lower ones are open. And, you know, eventually, you know, we'll join the rest of the other beings and other planets once, like, the entire planet, like, evolves into, like, you know, higher frequencies. You know, like I like to like think of we are light bodies, and if you put light through a prism, it breaks into the 7 colors, and that's basically the 7 chakras, and like how it represents us wave, you know, yeah, through waveforms. Like, we are made up of all these waveforms, and if we keep them light being. I don't know if I interrupted somebody.
We lost
Kevin,
a little bit of audio there.
Oh no.
Oh.
Did you hear me? Did you hear me? No. Okay, so
Yeah,
I'll say it again.
Yeah, it just cut off there right about 2/3 of the way through for a second, like there was a lag. That's all.
Okay.
But
well, basically, like, you know, like if you put light through, it breaks into 7 colors. So that's basic. That could be our basic representation of our chakras. So we are made up of all these different light waves, that if we clean and keep aligned, we can become our full light body, our full light being, you know, eating like fruits, you know, that are, if you put towards the light, they're mostly light, you know, they're light foods, and this one's red, so my body soaks in the information color red and all the juice and information that this nature has to offer me. And if we can recharge our chakras by eating beautiful vegetables of different colors.
Anthony has returned.
I love that. It really touches on both. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump in, Brandon, but something Kevin said about the marble floors, and then what you're talking about, the colors of the food, really brought in. Kevin also mentioned quoting spirit science, so I'm going to do that now. If we look at the Hidden Human History movie, you know, what Thoth says about humanity and how it had descended itself into 3D living a while back. I'm not going to quote the exact time. I believe it was 13,000 years ago, but who am I to know that exact number? The question there is, you know, when that happened, we still had knowledge. We had someone giving us knowledge of the higher realms, right? To a certain extent, we had that connection still. But the easiest way to translate that chakra cleaning and all of that was in a more 3D system. And so we looked to physical materials, and that's where a lot of our like tribal fetishes, you know, like the magic totems that they'll use, and using certain kinds of wood for certain magical effects. All of that stuff comes from a 3D resonance of a 5D concept. It's all one it's all one wavelength or it's all one spectrum with different frequencies along it. That's what I'm trying to say. So what is in 3D is also in 4D, 5D, 6D, 7D, and on up. And so I think that a lot of times in the 3D perspective, we've become focused on the material collection. And I think that's kind of what you were talking towards, Kevin, of that's what we're moving away from, is the necessity to hoard these physical components in order to create ascension chambers to awaken people to a deeper way of living and being. They're no longer necessary for us, you know, to get there, because people are waking up every day. And that's just, I think, a natural part of the shift that's going on. But that's way off topic, so I'm going to stop there.
I agree with you completely, Joshua. And it's like that with lots of people in today's society, that whenever we like it or not, we always are using our third eyes, our intuition in everyday life. If I just like Anthony communicated with me earlier about when we were planning our cartoon, it's all about thinking about the thought, and then after, because every single thing in life it's based on a thought. It's first a thought from an imaginatory energy from the land of the imagination, as Plato once quoted. And it's basically that we channel that into our intuition, and then after we manifest it like a blueprint. And after we manifest it physically as a blueprint, and then after we take initiative, and then after we either speak it through or we create it physically, then after it becomes a physical manifestation of our thought form. And then it becomes rooted onto the physical world. So you could say that every idea that we ever have in every single modern generic day of life is basically just an idea, or even just a creation from our intuition.
Yeah, even to take it a step further, I'm gonna think the like even to take it a step further, you know, any idea that we actually do take, or we are, you know, we can look at it either way, but I feel like, you know, if we take that idea and pass it through our chakras is how it actually manifests. So taking an idea from the cosmic, visualizing it, speaking it, loving it, having confidence in it, then like creating it, and then like pushing it out.
Yeah. Oh, so it's exactly like a woman giving birth to a child. That it's basically creating like that. So in essence, all of our ideas are basically our children.
Yeah, I heard a quote. I can't remember who said it, but it was the 3D world that we live in is just an over-utilization of the holograph that our eyes create. And I thought that was so amazing because everything, even we are even manifesting things into reality constantly. It's just whether or not our eyes are choosing to create that holograph, and whether or not we're choosing to use one vibration level of understanding as well as our third ascended vision and everything else, all at once. We're supposed to use just this one as a tool alongside of everything else. And for some reason, we just zone so in on this one specific way of understanding just this holograph.
Oh, Christian, I'm so sorry. Like the entire time you were out. Like you were kind of coming in and out. Maybe turning off the broadcast and talking through your microphone might help. I repeat that. Sorry.
Okay.
That was great. Thank you for sharing.
That was so well put. So well.
It reminds me of the Robert Anton Wilson. He talks about reality tunnels, how every being projects their own reality tunnel, and as we interact, there becomes a gestalt being between the two of us that creates a consensus reality when our reality tunnels are interacting. But then as they separate, they're no longer a part of the main reality tunnel. It's just on the exteriors of it. And so there's only that connecting consensus idea that we live in this world on Earth. And that's really the only connection between our reality tunnels until we move into awareness proximity. But I really like that. Thank you for that, Christian.
That was well put, Christian. It's sort of like that here, like how much that here, Christian and Joshua put it, that here, that we have perspectives, and then after we don't allow each other yet we can't see each other's lives because we're not experiencing that type of wavelength. We're not vibing at their place where they're in life, whether in the heart, whether in the circle or a root, or the throat or third eye, or so on. It is like just much as the book of I think was Thus Spoke Zarathustra, by Friedrich Nietzsche. He's a philosopher. He basically said that with every teacher who has some type of knowledge of enlightenment or comes to challenge the main focus of whatever society's state of mind is, they would be ridiculed. And so you could say that that type of society is resonating at a different place. So just like how spirit science said, they in that mirror wall, society is vibing still at you could say the root sacral solar, but we wouldn't know unless we did observations from what the solar is to see what society is at. So you could say that here with that teacher is vibing at a different wavelength as society is. So therefore, trying to show them that knowledge, they would not see it. So they would have to experience it for their own self. So as plenty of people have said in our history that here, people would learn more from experience rather than other person's teachings. And that is exactly a teaching from the Buddhist textbook. So with every experience here, it is more like that you must take the teachings from that person and not follow that teacher. So it's just basically must experience it and not here. If they cannot comprehend it, they have to experience it. If you get if you get my drift.
That whole a person only understands you from their level of understanding.
Yes.
I think
it's like
sorry, I wanted to add that I agree with you guys. You guys are amazing. But I feel like these ideas and the way that we communicate are really important to those who actually do seek answers, because it's all about like being creative and being imaginative and coming up with new ways to get to different places. So yeah, just like you said, like follow the kind of like the teaching, but we have to go through it ourselves. But in a way, kind of like following, everyone can create their own little map. And like the fact that the way that this person tells me their map, I'm like, wow, well, I like how this works. I like how this works for me. And then I find my own way there. But what their map like gave me little like ideas and creative ways to like make my own map and find my own way. So I think it is important that we do like listen to some teachings and be like, okay, this is important. This is cool because I feel like I can do that or something similar.
I would agree. Yeah, I think that was. I think that's very much. I think everybody's talking about the same idea, but we're all expressing it in slightly different ways. I like if Anthony were not muted or such right now, I think he would chime in with that Bruce Lee quote from Enter the Dragon, right there in the beginning. It's like a finger pointing to the moon. Don't pay attention to the finger, or you'll miss all that heavenly glory.
Oh, I was gonna say a different quote here that Bruce Lee said it that here that the proper job for a teacher is to not hear the proper job for a teacher is to not imbue with them their experience, because they would not understand their experience. Is to show them their own path and for them to follow their own path by their awareness, their own path and their own inner divinity. I know those were not his exact words, but I was just abbreviating on his words. I was just exaggerating.
I think that we have built a beautiful basis of understanding and common language with this conversation at this point. And I think that what that tells us is that our root chakra has been activated. We are clearly rooted in the spiritual, and I think that's, I think it'd be cool if we do go ahead and route back to chakras specifically, because I think we could go for days on all of these subjects. So,
yes.
What is a question that we want to answer about chakras? That's a good question.
Yeah, I think one of the questions would be like, what are some tips and tricks to activate or balancing, or what is balancing a chakra, and how can we balance it or activate it? Does anyone, this is not like a flood of answers. See?
Okay. I'll jump in, and then everybody else, feel free to follow. What is, okay, that was like 5 questions in one. So let's go with, how do you activate or balance your chakras? And I think that the best way for me has always been to set an intention and breathe with it. And, you know, so here, I've got a perfect example on the wall right behind me. So I will move closer so that you can see it. So for the root chakra, can you see that? Did I make it too dark? Yeah, it got too dark. It says, I am safe. For the sacral chakra, it says, I am creative. It says, I am strong for the solar plexus. I am loved for the heart chakra. I am expressive for the throat chakra. I am connected for the third eye. And I am divine for the crown. Nice, simple intentions to set. And as you set that intention, and what I mean when I say set that intention is, we'll go with the root chakra, I am safe. I am safe. And just take 3 deep breaths with the thought, I am safe, firmly in your being. That's all it takes. Just 3 breaths. You can repeat it to yourself as you breathe if you want. You don't have to speak it aloud. If you speak it aloud, it will help you feel it more physically, but it's not necessary. The only thing that's necessary is the thought and the breath. And as you bring those 2 together, you become it. That's all I had.
So beautiful, Josh.
Thank you, Josh. I also feel like that was specifically important at times. Oh, he left.
He left, Josh.
Oh, he'll come back. That was specifically important for times of fear. You know, when we all feel fear sometimes, and when we are in a state of fear, it is maybe because we're not really grounded. And just kind of going off of what you were saying, Josh, if you ever you're looking at your surroundings in a state of fear, it's time to kind of balance that chakra out again and be like, I am grounded, I am safe, I am protected, I am safe, I am safe. So that was beautiful. That was a perfect example of how to use or trying to balance your chakra in a moment of like darkness or a closed space. Thank you, Josh.
Your wisdom has been taken in, Josh, and we thank you.
Yeah, and then it would be how do I know I'm imbalanced in certain areas, right? So it kind of imbalance comes with balance. To reach balance, we need to actually acknowledge that we're imbalanced. What do you guys think?
I would agree so hardly with that statement. Sorry, could you just repeat what you just said? The question.
I just said that in order to we're imbalanced, we aren't really how do we know that our chakras aren't really fully open? Oh, I can just walk around and be like, I am enlightened. You know what I mean?
I would like to jump in actually on this one, unless you want to go ahead. Okay. So one of the dangers, I think, in acknowledging that there's something wrong with you is that you might create that thing that's wrong. And I would go much more toward the positive and say what I am. And so I think it would be fine to walk around and say that you're enlightened, because I think in the process of doing that, you will become so, even if you're not at the time. That's just the way I would do it. I wouldn't talk about what's wrong with me.
But I feel like that the mere statement here of saying that you're enlightened, it like you. I think that's a very like you're in the consciousness of the ego. So that therefore when you are like, let's say your all of your chakras are open, you're stating that out. I feel like that is very like vibing at the ego, so that you be more at so you could say so, because there is no like finishing point of saying that all my chakras are open, and so I'm a perfect being, enlightened, and I don't need whatsoever. It's always about knowing and being conscious of the fact that you will never have all of your chakras opened or enlightened, because it's always a constant fluctuation and closed. And that's just my perspective on it.
I think that anytime you place a limitation on the infinite, you are assuming that you know what is unknowable from a finite space. And so to say you can't get there, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that one. I think enlightenment is a journey, yes, but I think that the fastest and most rapid way to catalyze change within who you are on any path is to speak as though you're already there, because your mind then tries to provide you the evidence that you're there and guide you how to get there. So to say I am an enlightened being, all of my chakras are open, it's only ego if you're coming from that space. Words are just words. The meaning that they have, we attribute to them. So if I walked around and I said, no, listen to me because I'm enlightened, I know, that would be ego. But if I said, but wait, I am an enlightened being, perfectly imperfect as I am. My chakras are open, firing and shining brightly, spreading love to and through everyone I see, from the universe to the universe. I am but the infinite. That's not ego. It's just acknowledgement of who you really are.
Yes.
And I would agree, actually, Kevin, you're staying.
No.
Oh my god! I got booted out.
Wow, like, yeah, 3 people got booted at the same time. There we go. Here comes Anthony.
I'm on a seesaw.
Oh my god. You guys are so... Josh put in it so like divine, and it's perfect because he answered the question, you know, that almost seemed with no answer. He answered it. It was great.
That was a perfect answer, Josh. Oh no, Josh, what you just said was perfect.
Did everyone else just get booted?
Yeah.
I got booted for
people
like
did.
That's apart from me.
That's wild. Okay, that's cool.
But it was right as you finished. It was exactly.
I thought I wasn't finished, but I'm finished. There we go.
Oh,
I love those smiling faces.
I know, this is so good. Okay, so let's kind of like go through each chocolate, each chocolate.
our ascension chocolate.
We have all the chocolates. We can taste all of them.
Well, at least you didn't say all the chocolate.
Chakras with the punch.
Yo tengo mis chakras abiertos.
Oh, okay, so I'll go through them really, really quickly. The root.
Chocolate.
Oh, we should make chakra chocolates. That was...
Oh yeah.
And we would have to call them chakra chocolate.
Chocolates.
They're chocolates. Chocolate.
We're going to see these in the gas station in the next couple weeks. Chakra chocolates. I'm telling you. It's one of those.
Each one will be different flavors.
The idea has been sent out into the ether. It will manifest. Chakra chocolates. Get your sweet craving and get a line.
Each one will be. You'll have like an orange flavored one and like a blueberry.
Oh my god. Alignment, cacao alignment.
A root cinnamon.
Yes. Okay. So, the root chakra. Well, I'll go through the extremes. It's like survival and then fear, right? Then we have the sacral, which is like, what is it? Pleasure and then shame.
Can we talk about that one a little more? I kind of don't get it really.
The like, sacral chakra.
The what?
The sacral.
Yeah, because
I would say it's not pleasure. It's creativity. Well, yeah. But go ahead.
Creativity is very pleasurable. I like it.
I definitely have an overly sexualized viewpoint on it, and I've been really trying to get away from that lately. But it's hard to compare it to anything else, like as far as I've seen so far. Well, in myself at least.
Well, that's why I really like the idea of the creative urge itself, because at that point you're either creating something with your hands or through traditional procreation. But it's still the creative urge. You're seeking to leave your mark on the world in some way, and that's what the sacral chakra is all about.
I actually would like to add to that. A lot of people talk about the sacral chakra to be kind of like like sexual, right? But at the end of the day, what. You are kind of like your own soulmate. Your higher self is like your soulmate. You're with you all the time, and I feel like the balancing of the sacral has to do with like being comfortable with like who you are, loving yourself, and like not being ashamed of that, being creative and finding pleasure in just being like you and like loving you. Like not just loving someone else in like a sexual way. If that makes sense.
Totally, Karen. I would feel like as well that the sacral chakra is both sexual and creative at the same time. It's because that any time that we're in the process of creation, you could say, in essence, that that when we're in the process of making art or whatever, we're in the process of if I may be so crude here, sexual reproduction, because we're producing a child, we are creating life. So in essence, creator and now art is our children. So you can say so both the sacral is both imbalanced with the sexual and the creative, because even in the process of making a child, that is creativity, that is art, right? Even in the process of the creation of the child itself, that is art into itself. So it's still creative and sexual energy at the same time. So it's both balanced, the yin yang, the sacral chakra. That's why it's chi. That's why it's that is why it's hara. It's all of that. It's basically just it's a balance of sexual and creative powers.
Amazing! Wow, Brandon, that was amazing. Thank you.
Love that. Let's go to the solar plexus. That's so we have guilt, and then we have confidence. What was your other one on your wall?
Strong. It said, "I am strong." Yes.
Yeah. Strong, and then like guilty. I like this one because it has to do with our digestion and like our gut feelings, and like how well do you take criticism, or like like do you overeat your feelings? Like your gut and your core is so important.
It's your core, yeah.
Yeah, your willpower. So that was cool too. It's like, you know, confidence and all these beautiful things that like bring you a more like stronger, strong, like it brings you a center that like, you know, to your Ferrari, like, okay, so this button like brings me confidence. Pressed like mango
Press
juice.
with confidence.
Oh my God, I brought my mango juice and my blueberries. Time to have a good speech. You know? And the next one is heart. Right. I like the next. Well, I like all of them. The heart. I like it because it kind of represents the thymus, the heart, also the lungs, and I feel like the shoulder is this entire like area. It's pretty big. Who do you guys?
The heart chakra.
I feel like I could talk about her because I'm super interested in law, and it's Tiferet, tree of life, which is Christ consciousness. And I think there's a lot to be said with that. The fact that like through the manifestation of love, like I don't want to say it's the most powerful because I don't think anything is more powerful than anything else, but I think it's one of the easiest tools we have, just through the expression and the manifestation of love through your heart. Can you just like connect through every other point on the tree that is just around you and just manifest yourself into Christ consciousness
with love.
And I like it too
So,
because it can be a self-expression of love as well. And one of the things that so many people have trouble with is self-love. So I'm often kind of working with folks. It seems like I work with a lot of people who have depression, and that's one of the things that I'm always trying to get across to them is that their main battle is that with depression they don't have self-love. So, you know, figuring out a way to open that heart chakra and be able to see the pure, beautiful, amazing person that they are, because we all are that, no matter what other things have happened to us in our lives. So, you know, you don't see the heart chakra talked a lot about self-love, but I look at it that way. Maybe you guys see it differently.
I see it as a love and universal love. Love of coexisting with other species, love for Mother Earth, and definitely self-love.
You could say that. Sorry, Christian, you want to say something?
No, you go, Brandon.
Oh, okay, thanks, Christian. You could say that the heart chakra is the key point, the center point of where the toroidal field it centers on from the crown, and then after from the root, and after it centers itself onto the root chakra. So you could say that it's the center point for the toroidal field, which is what connects us all to everything, our basic mundane objects. I feel like that we could expand further on the concept of the toroidal field before we move on to the Chris. What are your guys' thoughts on the toroidal field?
That's insane. That's actually exactly what I was gonna say, almost word.
I'll expand on that. I love the idea of the toroidal field because it brings again this like sense of like okay, so basically we have a magnetic field around us. It is what it is. We are all energy, and we have a magnetic field, just like the Earth, right? And this magnetic field, you know, if you were to imagine it as a toroidal field and you combine imagination with the actuality, you know, it becomes more graspable, more seizable, more like possible to like grasp. And you know, when we're talking about aligning our chakras or cleansing our chakras, is really I don't know what you're holding, Josh. Oh yes, I love that. Yes, okay. I'm gonna go back to that. Okay, so the idea of this coming back to this toroidal field, like for example, when I'll go into a meditation I have later for you guys if we have time, and when we find something like this comforting, using the toroidal field, coming back to the toroidal field, and letting the energy go through you as it cleanses through you, it's like that's like a really good way of like cleaning and you release it and then you clean it. Like you do it for you. We're very powerful beings.
That is very Karen. Karen.
I love that you brought up the toroidal field. I love everything you're all saying. The chakras, you know, each one is an intersection point of the layers of magnetic frequency that you are. Magnetic is not exactly the right word, but we're going to use it for simplicity's sake. And so the heart is, yes, because your total energetic being, it's at the very core of it. So that's the heart of it. And it's great that it kind of matches up, right? But every single chakra is an intersection point for two different fields. And so if they're out of balance, things won't sync up. They won't be able to connect. But if you let things come into alignment, it all connects. And that's kind of the deal of what we're talking about here is cleaning that stuff out. Do what?
I said they snap together, sorry.
Yeah. It all lines itself up instead of being all mismatched. It comes into alignment.
Do you have 7,
Is that
Josh?
tonight?
It's actually 9 that I'm using right here. But
Is it magnite?
yeah, magnetic hematite.
Love it.
Oh,
It-
hermite.
As a healer, it's a really useful set of stones to keep around when you're trying to help people work through stuff that they don't want to let go of. Especially, you can take, 9 magnetic hematites and arrange it on the heart, and then start changing the orientation until you figure out where the block is, and cleanse that out.
That's very good. Hey guys, yeah, I've been listening to the talk, and really, really good so far. Good to be listening to it. And I just wanted to point out that Kevin had something to present today, which I don't know if got around time to, but maybe Kevin would like to present the healing exercise he's learned.
Ooh.
All right. Well, thank you. Sure. It's kind of interesting, the whole thing, because about in January, I joined this group. It was a light worker training group. And they say, of course, that we all have at least one major ability, some very special gift that everyone is agreed to come into this world, and it will become their purpose. And this special ability has unique qualities for each individual. So supposedly we've all chosen something and will be exceptionally good at that one thing. It doesn't mean that we can learn many others, but there's one thing that almost is like our own attunement. So we could potentially attune others to do our one special gift. And I joined this group having no idea at all what that was going to be, and the other, some of the characteristics of this one special thing is that maybe you don't have to protect yourself while you do it, like you do with Reiki, or and it doesn't wear you out ever. You never get tired from doing it. You can just do it endlessly. So I, of course, very open-minded and interested in what this could potentially be. And as I started working with this, my coach, my lightworker coach, we were trying to figure out what it was that I could do. And, I've done a little bit of channeling, and I've done some other minor things that didn't all add up to anything in particular. But we finally discovered that what I can do seems to be based on the chakras. But at first it was interesting because we came to the conclusion that it had something to do with awakening others. And really it's because of the comic book. So like he likes to look at what we've done in our lives, and maybe you guys can think about this as well. What are the things that you're interested in? What are the different things that you've done in your life? And where have you seen some kind of special things happen to you? And so he, once he learned about the comic, he said, oh, well, that's what it is. You can awaken people. So I thought, okay, cool. Well, I wonder how I do that. I did eventually figure out how to do that, and I started doing it. And I actually did it for Josh like a couple of weeks ago. And at the time, I just was doing awakening, and I was noticing that it would affect people that weren't already that awake, and it also affected people that were very awake, like Joshua is. So it wasn't until Joshua received it, and I would love to hear your description of it now, especially since it's been a little while and you've had some time to think about it. But what he said was, "Oh, you just like cleared my third eye chakra. I bet you what you're doing, you could do to all the chakras." And so he was right. And so what I've been doing now is practicing with lots and lots of people where I can just go through, and I usually start with the root and go through all the chakras, and they experience a very profound, generally experience of full energy flow. You know, as we move up the chakras, the other ones feel tight because I think the energy is really trying to flow through. So, you know, like blast through their chakra system. And so until we open each one, they can kind of feel it and feel it and feel it. Then when it's all done, they're kind of lightheaded. I did it to myself at midnight one night, which is my first time, which was not a good idea, because then I didn't sleep the rest of the night. I had so much energy flowing through me. So, you know, all of a sudden, 2-3 weeks ago, I didn't even know really what the chakras were. And now I realize that I can awaken, that's the term that I use, awaken people's chakras. And I've had to learn it really fast. So this has been a fun talk already, because I've already learned some things from your guys' perspective that I hadn't thought of, or my research hadn't shown so far. So yeah, so that's what I'm in the middle of doing right now. And if anybody would like a chakra awakening, we should set up a time and do it for sure.
Oh, it's so good. Thank you for sharing. Definitely.
That's amazing.
That was awesome, Kevin.
Do that at any point ever.
One of them is like your black Benjamin one.
So I'm still eating some chocolate. That was awesome, Kevin. I definitely want to do a session with you, and maybe even get you to kind of, if that's what you want to share, it'd be great to kind of make a video about that, or get it in a way that will help or extend the reach.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea. And what's really fascinating about this whole Lightworker program that I'm involved in is that this will be a complete transformation for me, and so much so that we're going to change my name, change my look, change my everything. And so I will be a completely different person when this is all done. So I think it will be at that point that I will be open to doing videos and really getting it out there. Right now, in my current incarnation, I'm just practicing, I'm training, I'm getting better at it, and working with you guys, and then it'll become a thing. And I was recently informed that I will be at an expo in September, where I'll be doing this for potentially an audience of 50 to 100 people at the same time. So should be interesting. See what happens.
Oh, good luck.
Hey, yeah, good luck with that.
If you got some time in June, I'll have an audience of at least that many as well, that I'd love you to do a workshop at the Plains for Peace Festival.
Yes, that sounds like a perfect idea.
Someone who wants to come to that as well. Probably a couple of people will head down, and we might all head down. So maybe if you fancy coming on down, Kevin.
I definitely do. I plan on it. Yeah. Hey, Joshua, would you mind throwing out there what you experienced when I opened your third eye?
Yeah, I was just waiting for the flow of the conversation. So, I've been someone who has, I died the day I was born, and I've had a very interesting life. And one of the things that has provided me is I have always been connected to beyond this.
The magics.
And so, yes. And so, one of the things, though, is in my 20s, my intuition, the things I would see through my third eye, they got to where it really scared me. And so I did everything I could to block that out. And so it made seeing really difficult. And when I asked Kevin to do this, and he said, okay, I took a breath, and there was like it wasn't pain or anything like that, but there was kind of like this little bit of tension right inside my head, and then like a pop sound, and it felt like a pop. And as soon as that happened, it was like when you wipe all the sleepy out of your eyes in the morning and you can just see clear again. It was like that. It just literally, bam, I see lines of light, love flowing to and through everything. From me, from everything around me. It's all connected, and I can just see it clearly. Whereas before, it was just, this staticky white flickering of light when I was in the zone and could open myself up to seeing it. Now it's just, I want to see it, I blink, it's there.
Wow.
Wow.
My words
Almost
exactly.
like watching a Claritin commercial when they take the thing off.
That's exactly what it was like.
Wow. This has been so amazing, guys. I have to go. I'm so sorry. I wish I could just honestly stay here and talk forever. I feel like just, the expansive amount of knowledge I feel like I've just learned, or rather like felt, you know what I mean? I just feel like I know so much more with like my heart and just like behind my logic and my knowledge. But thank you so much. I love all of you guys.
Thank you, Christian, for coming.
Thank you so much, Christian.
Thank you.
We love you.
Namaste.
Take care.
Namaste. Have a great day, you guys.
Yeah, that was so great, guys. Oh my god, amazing! This has been such a good talk. I'm so happy. I'll talk a little bit. We'll let's just continue. We're almost there, right? So we have throat chakra.
You're going right where I was going to go. Go for it.
Okay, so we have the throat chakra. It's blocked by lies, right? And then it's like the balanced version is like self-expression or truth. What do you guys think? We all agree.
I hadn't heard
like
the truth.
I feel like
cool.
True.
I feel like this chakra is one of the most prior to life. It's because that here in life, I feel like that here this chakra is in like a constant, because every single day we're always either telling a lie or every single day we're always either telling the truth or expressing ourselves in evil ways. So you could say that every single day the throat chakra is always active.
Mm-hmm. And we can be better balanced in our throat chakra by being wiser with our words, and by really like sticking through to what we say. When we say we're going to do something, just stick through it, because it kind of like even asking the higher self to guide you to manifest better, higher vibrations. That way you are more aligned to your higher person, higher possibility.
That is so true.
And while you're talking to your higher self, also ask that it help you remember to open your mouth when keeping it closed would be dishonest with who you are.
Open your mouth while keeping it closed?
No, I like what he's saying there, and it's really, I think that's really critical, and a thing that I don't do very well and I'd like to improve on, and that is okay, so say you're in a situation where people are talking about something that you don't agree with, and maybe so much so that it kind of hurts you on the inside. If you just sit there or and let it happen, you're not doing yourself and you're not doing the universe a service. So even if it's painful, and even if it's going to cause conflict, and even if it's going to cause problems, it's worth it, because you express that truth, even though you don't really want to.
That is
I love
so
that.
good, Kevin.
Exactly where I was going. Thank you.
Because we must learn to always express ourselves authentically, because otherwise that it will rest in our subconscious mind, so therefore it would feed onto that pain that we have in our bodies. So therefore it will continue that cycle of anger, aggression, and the turmoil from other people for saying, why didn't you tell me that? Learn to express yourself, and you will never expand further if you don't learn to just get it out from your system.
Definitely. Okay, let's continue. The next one is the third eye, which stays in your pineal gland, which should be like right in the middle of your brow and in the middle of your head. Which would say, can we agree that maybe consciousness sits there like on a little throne, just looking out into the world?
I'm sorry, I can't agree. Sorry.
Can't wait.
Because your consciousness is not it's not water in a cup per se. It's too big to fit inside your body. What I think that would be at least when you are focused into your intuitive connection, that would be where what the Toltecs called your assemblage point, what I just call your point of perspective, is resting. So that's where your awareness is looking from sometimes. But who you are, it is consciousness. That is your being, and it is so much more than your body or this time that it happens to be expressing itself in this moment.
That was sincerely beautiful,
So would you
Josh.
say that the pineal gland is the not the consciousness?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Would you say that the pineal gland is the perspective and not the consciousness?
Yeah, that's what I was going with. It's some like, not for everyone. Those who feel disconnected to the universe, like the universe is outside them, that's not where it's at. They've moved it down, and it's most likely in their solar plexus or lower. It's in one of those, and it's focused there. But it doesn't have to be in a chakra. I just think that's where it typically is.
Oh, well, thank you for sharing. Okay, so the pineal gland. Sorry, Brandon, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I just made up something very beautiful right now here. That here, every single time that we awake and the light hits our eyes, and after it hits here our super charismatic nucleus, is one of the tracks that which awakens our pineal gland for us to awake and release all those chemicals so that we may awake. So it lessens the melatonin. I feel like that every time when we awake, a new world is made into our creation when we awake. So you could say that here, I'm not I'm just spitballing here. It's just a theory or a hypothesis that here the big awakening of a whisper of life of a world. So therefore, we are that infinite cycle of new worlds, of new sky visions of worlds. It's an awakening of a world.
I like that.
Yes, and the pineal gland, it also represents like sacred geometry and wisdom and creativity as well, and also illusions. I think it's blocked by illusions.
When I work with people, again, like I was saying, with depression, I focus a lot on this one as well, and it's because our ability to observe ourselves experiencing negative emotions is very different than experiencing negative emotions. And I believe that the third eye chakra, when fully awakened, allows us to do that. And so far, as I've been saying, I've been doing this now. I've probably practiced on 30 people, and probably 4 or 5 of them have depression issues. I've definitely seen a difference as soon as we do the third eye chakra. Then all of a sudden they say things like, wow, I'm kind of having trouble like focusing on negative thoughts. Or a couple of days later, they'll say, you know, it's weird. It's like I can kind of see myself experiencing these things instead of actually experiencing them. You know, or boy, you know, the stuff that goes wrong just doesn't feel as overwhelming anymore. It doesn't feel, I don't feel as burdened by those things. So I definitely see a big difference in just being able to observe yourself, and that's got to be coming from that pineal gland third eye thing.
Love that. Love that. I also love that, you know, when we have ceremonies or when we dream or when we die, our pineal gland floods with dimethyltryptamine, DMT, and when it's flooded, like, you know, you can have a series of like almost supernatural experiences. And this is mostly where a lot of us experience some type of connection to spirituality. And here we are. Thankful.
Gosh,
okay, I'll continue.
I just love your joy every time you get excited, like this awesome like smile, and then there's this funny little throat noise that you make. It's just, I just can't help but like smile and feel lighter and happier. So thank you.
I love your energy, Karen.
Oh my God, thank you, Kevin. I was thinking about it when you were saying that, you know, everybody had this gift, and I'm like thinking, I wonder what's like mine. And I'm like, okay, I gotta like look at it from like that perspective that you know, even if I were to like find it, you know, see where I can apply it everywhere. Like, this is me, like take it or leave me, you know, like. Okay, so the last one is
definitely not leaving you. We're taking you. We're taking you. Definitely.
Thank you. I like that. The last one is the crown, and it sits like right about like here, right? And this is kind of like the idea of like Jesus Christ or angels have this crown, right? This thing around their heads.
Halo.
Kind of like the idea. It represents cosmic consciousness and it's blocked by earthly attachments. What do you guys think?
In many church chapels, many paintings depict priests, disciples with a round, a golden circle around their heads, which represents it. That represents the crown chakra, the meaning of an enlightened being. So one who knows or has experienced the truth about life. So that the crown chakra is basically the expansion of, from my idea and perspective, is the expansion of into another step of reality, another step of seeing the world. Because if I remember correctly, how many petals do the crown chakra have specifically? Is it up to 1 million? I think, if I'm trying to remember correctly.
I think it's like 10,000, or I don't know, infinity.
What are we talking about?
I think you're right. I think it's 10,000, and it's because 10,000 in the language of the time represents infinity. That was a number that represented the infinite, because you know, in the beginning there was the Tao. The Tao split itself open. The one became the two became the three became the 10,000 things. The 10,000 things are, you know, everything, all that exists.
Oh, so at that point, the flower of life, it expands into a spiral, and it uses a mathematical formula of Fibonacci, and then so it expands forward, and then it just it creates it is Oh, I just forgot. Oh my gosh, it's the creation. It's a new way of creating life. It's the next step into creating life. It's the next forward in evolution of life, you could say.
I like that. It's kind of like the beginning of the next set, right, of chakras, right? The beginning of this new being, of this higher self, the beginning of this new world.
Yes, and to jump into that, I've started to experiment with those awakening those chakras in people too, and this past week I did it with somebody who is a channel, and she was able to kind of help define what each one was, because if you've done any research on the 8th through 12th or whatever 13th, or going straight up, and of course the Earth star, it's very inconsistent. So one person says, oh, this is this one over here, and then the next person says, no, it's completely different, it's not that at all. So there's definitely not an agreement going on right now about what those other ones are. So I've got some notes, if you wouldn't mind. I'll just kind of read through what she determined while I was awakening her 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and she had me keep going until she kind of ran out, and so it was 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th, and that's not counting the Earth star. So that was a completely separate one. So the 8th she called the halo, or we called the halo, which is not then the 7th isn't the halo in this case. That she was saying that it's 6 to 12 inches above the crown. And she said that this was a protective chakra, that it helps protection from undesirable lower density energies. And it is associated a lot with terrestrial animals, like our spirit animals, and our ability to communicate with them, which was kind of different than most of the other research that I had done. But there was some talk of the protection chakra and calling it the halo in other research that I had done. Do you guys, before I move on, do you guys have any thoughts or questions or ideas on that?
I'm learning right now.
Okay, I'll keep going.
I would agree with it.
Okay, cool. Okay, 9th chakra then, which we didn't really give a name, but it talked about the guides, the Akashic records, and astral projection. So she said that this is the connection between lifetimes and timelines. Our personal guides reside here. So like not the collectives and not the councils and all of that, but our personal guides can communicate with us through our 9th chakra, and we can access the Akashic records through here. And it was really neat because this particular channel, she has never really worked with the Akashic records before. So she was very excited when I opened this for her, because she was like, oh my gosh, there's so much information here. Oh my gosh, I'm going to be looking at this for a long time. This is really cool. And so the other research that I did was, it was talking about the gateway to channeling and journeying. From this chakra, you can access the Akashic records, astral projection, and it's an easy way for us to access parallel realities and other states of consciousness. So those are very kind of different once again, but I really liked her view of it. It feels right to me. What do you think, Josh?
I think that's a lot to take in, and all I know personally of that 9th chakra is the Akashic. That's where it feels like I go when I do tap in. So, I mean, that's about. I haven't really messed with any of that in a long while. I think that you have really brought up some thoughts in my head, though, that are going to have to get followed through the rabbit hole and see where they go.
Cool. Good.
I'm going to jump in really quickly. I love that you're doing this, Kevin. You do remind me of like some of the studies that Dolores Cannon was doing, because I've been like in love with her for the past like week. So I'm like drowning in her research, but she was able to get all this information and pile it down through thousands and thousands of patients whom she spoke with with their higher self. So I feel like, you know, the more you do this and the more clients you'll get and the more patterns and consistent information you'll get, like the more amazing and consistent your information will be. But I'm like, wow, I'm amazed. Thank you so much.
Sure, sure. So, so then when we move up to the 10th chakra, she ended up calling this the angelics, where the angels, archangels, ascended masters reside. Dimensionally, she said it's a range from the 7th to the 13th dimensions, which I thought was really interesting that she like narrowed it down like that. And then so other research is now it gets very, very hard to kind of apply because the you know, it's 10th, 11th, 12th, and so on, talk about all the different things like this is the portal to the fabric of the universe. This chakra allows us to bilocate, time travel, turn invisible, teleport, and engage in telekinesis, and so on. So it really gets kind of vague. And what she was saying then is when we went from the 10th, 11th, and 12th, she kind of felt like those three were there and they were unique and different in each one, but that they actually overlapped with each other. So there was quite a bit of, you know, combination things that were going on here. So she said it kind of blurred together and it got harder and harder for her to discern between each one, but she did feel like they definitely existed individually. And so when I did,
look like a weave.
Yeah.
They look like a weave, like a Triskelion or something.
Right.
That's what I see.
Okay, cool. And so, yeah, and so I worked on each one individually, whereas there was another lady that wanted me to just do the, you know, whatever she said, the 9th through the 12th is one shot. And so I did that, but I didn't feel like we got as much information as when we worked on them individually. So the 11th is this one's called the Star Family. It's the galaxy of our essence. So the way she described it is, of course, you know, our higher self is working with us right now, but our higher self also works with lots of other beings because our higher self is not just, you know, Kevmo here. It's lots of folks. So this is where we can all access that our beings we can all access the beings that our higher self is in control of. So from the 11th chakra, we could work with, you know, whoever else on the planet and outside of the planet, our higher self is in charge of. And then the 12th chakra was the galactic collectives. This is where we get to access the, you know, the councils and the, you know, those sorts of things. This is the 13th dimension and up, she said. And then finally on the 13th, she said, this is source. And this is far above. Oh, and this one was not merged with the other three. So this one was way above those other three. And she said, of course, you know, you can be source when you access this chakra. You can feel that connection, and you can probably see. Now I would take the research that we're talking about from the 10th that says this is where you can bilocate and time travel and turn invisible and earth shift and do all these different things. I feel like that's probably where we would do that, but you know, maybe we're splitting hairs at this point.
Well, I think the distinction there would be you doing them would be that 9th through 12th, or the 10th through 12th, I mean.
Okay.
That would be you as a localized body doing them.
Mm-hmm.
When you step into the 13th, you don't need to do those things. As the source, you create reality itself. You don't need to do something like, you don't need to teleport somewhere when you can just, whatever reason you could need to teleport can already be resolved without needing to move or do anything except be the source.
Right. Yep. That makes sense.
I have a question, and this may have nothing to do with what we're talking about right now, but I would just like to know, like, I think I could have had a glimpse of a chakra beyond, but I just want to know which one that I could have been vibing at. It's because once I was laying on bed, it was the night, and I was sleeping, and for an apparent reason, I would like fetal position, but my arms were over my head like this. And then after, for an apparent reason, I could see, and everything around me was like a purplish energy, but like know that I was completely out. I was asleep. Apparently, I was like the entire area around me was purple, and then like there was strands of like yellow, like chains of like cables of energy going up and then downwards, and then for skin was purple, and for an apparent reason, two beings told me he is not ready. Throw him back with the rest of them. I may have been, I may not be, I may be misinterpreting it because I'm trying to experienced, but I was just wondering what from the knowledge that you have, Kevin, of which chakra?
That's a good question. I'd have to think about that one. Maybe, I bet you Josh has an idea, an intuitive idea.
Ninth.
The ninth.
Yeah. Read your label for the ninth again.
So I have my on. Yeah. Okay. Guides, Akashic records, astral projections. So the connection between lifetimes and timelines.
Yeah. So what I saw was, in that space, what you described is very much like what it felt like the last time I died, and it's actually the reason I really like that show on Netflix called The OA, because there's a point where the character goes to a place very much like what you're talking about. Though they don't have the color right, it still has the feel, and it's very much like that, where it's an infinite, but at the same time, you don't see infinite. It's just this place, and there's a presence or a few presences. And then there's this golden energy that courses throughout the space, and it kind of looks like cables. I'd agree with what that, that as my own experience, that's a lot like what it looks like. And I think that lots of people who have near-death experiences see something similar to that, though the purple shift may have been, like a lens flare kind of a thing from your perspective. But I don't know.
Oh yes, because it was very strange. Is that then after I awoken, because I was in that position and around me was like a purple. Said the two beings came in front of me, and after said to me, he's not ready. Throw him back with the rest. So it's like I feel like that's a bit of a Matrix thing. It's saying that we're living in a simulation. Throw him back with the rest of them.
Did you get the sense that you had died?
And no, it's just that I just felt very relaxed, and for some reason I was hearing electricity at the back of my head. It was like a charge, like. And then I was completely naked. My skin was purple, and that I saw and I could see behind of my head, and in the back of my head was literally a golden it was just like a golden orb flow, and that it was just like my skin was just completely purple, and that it's just what I'm describing to you right now. It was just that I was just asleep.
Maybe
the golden cord. Yeah.
Maybe not this time. Next time, you got it.
The golden cord reminds me of it's not in the same placement as the Egyptians' Akka cord, but the idea is the same. Is this power line? Basically, it's this connection to source that runs to and through you. And I think that whole "you're not ready yet" was just that you still had some stuff at this level of awakening to do before you could fully understand what you were going to see there. So you just got a little glimpse. It's like getting that little taste so that you know what you're swimming towards. No,
but I may have been mishearing. Like they say, like throw them back with the rest of them.
You're welcome back with the rest of us.
Yeah, we're so glad to have you.
Well, guys, it's almost, we have about 10 minutes before it's 2 hours, and I just really wanted to sneak in a peek of my tea line, if that was okay. Cool. So, I have done teas for a while for myself. It has helped me kind of like do detoxes, and fasting helps me kind of like clean my organs. And I've done it because I don't really like the taste of teas when I go buy them. And when I go buy them at the store, and they're like really expensive and it tastes really bad. So I ended up just like I started experimenting with my own herbs, and I started realizing what I liked and their properties, and just eventually I started doing my own recipes, and people started asking me for them. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll just make it a thing. So I've been studying now more and more about herbs, and more about like health and how that correlates to like the chakras. And basically every chakra correlates to kind of like a center, but it kind of like can connect to like a specific organ. So what my teas are based around is herbs that center themselves on that specific organ. That way that you can like you drink it, and like you set your intention, right? Like Josh said, towards that chakra as you drink it, and it will boost the properties of the herbs that you're drinking. And it's all like, it's like this like boom, like a tag towards that like specific like chakra, because it's like so many ingredients that are trying to do the same thing. So I'll run through them really quick. So I have a collection right here. The ground tea is mostly for the reproductive systems, for male and female. I have some stuff in there for like the period, but also for the testes. I have maca root, so they can like clean that area really well. And then the next one I have is for the adrenal glands. So I have some adrenal glands, and then also the urinary tract, I think. And what I mostly based on it is to like clean kind of like that area, as well as like give you energy throughout the day, some like creative energy. So I have mugwort for the creativeness, and then yerba mate for the for the adrenaline. So then the next one is solar plexus. So I based this one on the stomach. It has psyllium husk, which cleanses out your stomach. And you're only supposed to take small bits of it, but since it's a mix, since it's a beautiful like mix, you're getting just the right amount. And it has chamomile. It's chamomile based, so it has that like solar power. And then if you want an even more solar kick, I would recommend putting it in a glass bottle, creating like a cold brew, and then letting it charge next to a window by the sun, and having the sun rays kind of brew this beautiful tea that you're gonna be drinking, and that'll give that extra kick. The next one is I call it lifeline. My favorite part about it is like creating my own names. I have, which is the heart, and it's based on like the what is it called, the thymus gland. Yeah, I got it right. And this one I based it around spirulina, and spirulina is kind of like an algae, kind of like chlorina or chlorine, something like that. But I based it because it's kind of like a superfood, and it's almost like that psyllium husk. You're supposed to take little bits of it. So I have this concoction. It has moringa, guayusa, like gotu-kola, tulsi. Like it's such a beautiful blend. It's a little bit strong in terms of like it has an algae taste, but it's very like powerful for your heart. The next one I have is Half Moon, which is for the throat. And I made this one very like fun in terms of like minty flavors. I have licorice. I put blue lotus in there because, you know, I don't know. That's the one that was available to me. And let's see what else. Oh, thyme, sage, something like very that make you be like, okay, like my breath smells nice. Let me talk to you. Those were that creativity came from. The next one is Supreme Bliss, which this one is like the third eye. And basically, I put a lot of like psychoactive herbs inside, but it's also whoever's gonna take this, I say take it with caution, and I don't want you to do any machinery while you take this, because it contains valerian root, which will knock you out. But it also contains guayusa, which contains caffeine. And my reason for that concoction is I want to get you to a lucid state where your body becomes more and more relaxed, but your mind kind of stays awake, kind of like that lucid dream state. And then we have Kalia, mugwort, and calamus for the pineal gland psychoactive part of it, so you can have dreams with this herb if you use it properly. And yeah. Okay. The last one is enlightenment. It doesn't have any mint in it, but it's the only name that I really liked, so I stuck with it. This one is based around the brain and how to like balance the areas of the brain. Ashwagandha is really good. And then I also have some like psychoactive as well there, because it governs the pituitary gland. I don't know if I'm saying it right. Pituitary gland. And then basically my strongest ingredients here is turmeric and peppermint. And the reason I chose those is because turmeric is really good for the brain, but when it's mixed with peppercorn, it's easier to be absorbed by the brain. Your brain absorbs the turmeric better. So this is a very like stress relieving, like clearing the mind, kind of like it just cleans it. And that's my first chakra collection. I have other collections that I'm going to be bringing. I'll eventually have different flavors of the chakra collections, essentially doing the same thing, but the flavors will be up to you. You can even switch it up every month. And then I have other collections that I want to bring in. So I want to create a collection that it talks about the major organs of the body. So I have just tea for the kidneys, just a tea for the liver, just a tea for the skin. Major organs that are a major part of your Ferrari, of your own living Ferrari. So that'll be coming in the future, and other collections. So we'll see.
Josh,
Yeah.
Two things.
What's up?
Two things, Karen. Just to say, the packaging is so cute. It's so small. The packaging.
I know. It's very small, but it's the only one I have so far. Eventually, I'll get more sizes.
And also, just another thing, where did you get the cannabis and for those hallucinogenic plants? Where did you get them?
Calamus is where I got it where I work. So I work at a vegan, non-GMO store. And we receive herbs from all over the place, but since it's a co-op, everything is organic, everything is non-GMO, and I'm just like completely in love with that store. I got calamus there, and I got the ashwagandha there, and most herbs. There's some herbs that they don't have, like blue lotus, but or kalia, they don't have things like that. But yeah, basically. A good apothecary has some of these herbs near you. So you can also create your own, like, you know what I mean? I invite anybody, the ingredients are up there. You can make your own and you can experiment. But I already have it done for you. And then just in case you don't have certain ingredients around you, like the spirulina, or the calamus, like you said, I'll be happy to ship that for you. And then you also have the option of customize your own tea if you're looking for something specifically that you kind of want me to like look at. Like, hey, I hey man, don't put spearmint on any of the tea. Can I just get a specific, like, something else other than mint tea, and then I'll go ahead and create your own thing for whether you want energy or whatever you want. And yeah, it's all on the website.
What's the website
I'll
address?
definitely check it out.
It's www.mindfulmaya.etsy.com. And then yeah, I think that was it. I have something, but I'm gonna forget it. I forgot it. Yeah, it's that, and then yeah, no, I'm just gonna leave it there.
But I also have something that I want to announce as well. That I'm planning to create, how I said to all of you already in the beginning, that I'm going to be designing and creating chakra cards, so which resonates a lot with this conversation. That is going to be from the root to the crown, and after it's going to have exercises here and basic tips on how to align your chakra, and basically some information about the chakra. And after on the front of it, it's going to have a cartoon illustration of my creation. So so I'm going to be designing that, and I hope all of you would like it to have a more disciplined practice of the chakras.
Yeah, and you know, that brings me to a reminder that, you know, the reason why I even started the chakra teas was because, like, the intentions are to bring awareness of the chakras to people who might not know, right? And a big part of like the chakra system, or drinking any of the chakra teas, is to really like drink it and then be mindful, have intentions towards that chakra, and creating a small meditation for it, so it can like boost it that much more. And then eventually, if you know, I kind of like added a 5-minute meditation on the when you receive my package. But essentially, if you drink chakra tea every day, right, for a different day of the week, by the end of the week, you know, you're having one tea a day. By the end of the month, like, you should feel pretty balanced, because you're making your organs work, and you're introducing these herbs. So yeah, I appreciate that. If you ever make them, let me know. We can all work together eventually. Let me know, and maybe we can add them or combine them, or, you know, make a specialty box of True Living and Mindful Maya. Yeah,
That'd be awesome. Yes. Oh, but like I haven't started anything yet. It's just basically an idea. I just need to put the pen to paper first, and then create them.
yeah. There's a lot of information out there about the chakras, so definitely you do that. And then, like we said in the beginning of the video, you know, it's really important to have the experience of the chakras yourself, because it makes it that much more powerful. Because when you actually do come down to your lower centers, and you do feel your spinal cord, right? Because the spine is very like interesting to work with energetically, and as you're going down like your chakras, like you really do have a sense of like, okay, this is what's going on, and then you start to clean them, you know. So I just recommend anyone who's really looking to balance to really like try it for themselves. And then I had a meditation, but I'll just make another video because it's too long. So I'll leave it for another time.
Sounds good. And I'll while we're promoting things, here is issue number 1 of Righteous.
Oh, it looks beautiful.
Awesome,
Kevin.
Yeah. See, look at that.
Wow. Do you work for DC, Kevin?
What's that?
Do you work for DC?
Yeah. No, I don't. I actually work in the video game industry. That's my full-time job.
Oh wow! I feel like you should definitely work to publish that as a proper like a superhero thing for pitch that to DC or Marvel.
Yeah, they probably wouldn't like it, but one of the smaller publishers might. and I'm probably going to give that a shot.
That's so beautiful. I wish you so much luck, Kevin.
Thank you. Yeah, and I'm going to get some of your teas too.
Yeah, and like you said, like I'll message with you. I'm definitely gonna have a session with you. Maybe we will switch. I'll give you teas, and you can give me a cleanse too.
That'd be great. I love that idea.
Okay, me too. Cool. Yeah. And yeah, thank you guys just so much.
Yeah, it was a blast.
Always a pleasure.
Wonderful. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And we'll see you next time. And that's it.
All right.
Take
Bye,
care.
everybody.
Until next time.